Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and this is a little bonus video here. This is going up later than usual. I was having some issues with Adobe Premiere, so that's why the first video today went up later than usual. That's why this is going up so late. But I want to talk about potential opponents for Randy Orton at WrestleMania, kind of last second replacements, as Kevin Owens is going to be out of WrestleMania. And I do want to, before we get into Randy Orton and who he could face at WrestleMania, I do want to talk about Kevin Owens because I do want to give props to Kevin Owens here. All the respect in the world for Kevin to have been fighting with this neck injury for these past 4 months. Kevin Owens did reveal in an interview that he's been dealing with a neck injury for like 4 months, since January. I know there's been people online, there's been fans speculating, oh, Cody Rhodes did it to him in the ladder match at the Royal Rumble, which I'll talk about in a minute here. No, Kevin Owens confirmed himself that it was in a match in January where he got hurt, and props to Kevin Owens to try to fight through this, to keep performing, to do that ladder match with Cody, which, I mean, given the way that match ended, when he took the Alabama Slam through the ladder, and the spot at the end where Kevin Owens is folded up in the ladder, his head is in the rung of a ladder. Like, that right there, like, if the WWE knew back then that Kevin Owens may have needed neck surgery, they could have easily used that angle, that finish, to write him off to say that he needs neck surgery. But Kevin Owens continued, and he had that great match with Sami Zayn at the Elimination Chamber, and he still went through with the spot with Randy Orton post-match when Orton made his return to save Sami Zayn. And props to Kevin Owens for all of that. To go through all that, dealing with the neck issues, when the WWE probably could have said, hey, Kevin, we're going to pull you from everything after the Royal Rumble. We want you to go get neck surgery. We're going to write you off in the Rumble match against Cody. Like, just mad props to Kevin. And I really do hope that this is not a Big E situation where, we do not know if or when Kevin Owens is going to even be able to come back. And with that, let's start with the obvious before we get into the fantasy booking aspect of things here for the rest of this video. Randy Orton's already paid his fine for the RKO that he gave him on Friday. So, kudos to Randy Orton, knowing that he was probably going to RKO Nick Aldis again, so he gave him the fine in advance. But perhaps Nick Aldis this time will say, you know what, Randy? The fine isn't enough. You want a WrestleMania opponent? I'll be your opponent. And the thing is about Randy Orton right now is, I think clearly he's getting set up for whoever wins between Cody and John Cena. So you can't have Randy Orton lose. So Nick Aldis, this would be his first WrestleMania. I think this would be a great way to get him onto the WrestleMania card. Fans have been wondering, when is Nick Aldis going to wrestle for the WWE? And you don't need this to be a heel turn for Randy and, oh, he's going against the face authority figure, Nick Aldis. Because Randy Orton, from a logical standpoint, kayfabe perspective, is that he just snapped, just lost it in the moment, because this is a guy that came back from career-ending back surgery, and that he doesn't have that many WrestleManias left. So Nick Aldis telling him that he may not have a WrestleMania match, I mean, that's probably not going to sit well with a guy like Randy Orton, which is why he, in the moment, RKO'd Nick Aldis. And Nick Aldis, to me, I think would be a great opponent for Randy Orton. Nick Aldis has actually also said in interviews that Randy Orton was at the top of his list of guys that he would want to face in the WWE. So this checks all the boxes here. Nick Aldis, Randy Orton. This might be the likely matchup here. And again, it accomplishes that Randy Orton can win the match. Number 2, it gets Nick Aldis a WrestleMania match. Now, the fantasy booking aspect of things, I've seen a lot of people say the Wyatt 6, which is interesting because I go back to what I said. Randy can't really lose here. He needs to be built up for Backlash St. Louis, which is in his hometown. So you don't really want to put the Wyatts up against him. Like, you don't want him to go against Uncle Howdy, because the fans have been wanting to see the Wyatts come back, and it's kind of been underwhelming, but obviously a lot of things have come into play with injuries. But it just feels like, from a creative standpoint, the WWE, even dating back to Bray Wyatt and The Fiend, has not been able to really book this spooky character or the characters of the Wyatt family. So, to me, I feel like if you have Randy Orton against Uncle Howdy, then, the fans will just complain that they're being, that, oh, the Wyatts shouldn't have lost. Uncle Howdy shouldn't have lost. Like, you just run into that situation, and so, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get that from that perspective. I think that would be something for down the line. You could revisit that potentially, where Uncle Howdy does go after Randy Orton, the Wyatt 6 goes after Randy Orton as kind of a revenge, but they're also portrayed as good guys. So right now there's a lot that needs to happen from a creative perspective for this to happen, and I just don't think WrestleMania is the right time for that feud. And that leads me to another very likely, and I think a very deserving of WrestleMania deserving of a WrestleMania match in Karrion Kross. Because right now, I know a lot of fans are speculating that Karrion Kross was going to have this feud with Sami Zayn. And yeah, we have not seen Sami Zayn since the Elimination Chamber. And so, could you put Sami Zayn in that situation where he answers an open challenge from Randy Orton? I mean, that would be kind of intriguing to go from Kevin Owens to Sami Zayn. And maybe that could be a start of Sami Zayn turning heel. Which I guess now this just turned into a Sami Zayn option for Randy Orton. Because maybe Sami Zayn will blame blame Randy Orton for potentially ending his best friend's career. So Sami Zayn could easily turn heel out of this, which would be very interesting. But back to Karrion Kross here. Karrion, to me, when you see the work that he's done, like, you could easily have Kross play a perfect role where he does lose to Randy Orton in WrestleMania, but also you could keep him a part of the storyline going into Backlash, where he is playing mind games with Randy Orton. Like, hey, dude, like the same way that Kross is playing mind games with AJ Styles, and we've seen him do that with the New Day and Sami Zayn. We've seen Karrion do this before, and having him play those mind games with Randy Orton ahead of his match against either Cody or John Cena, I think would be kind of intriguing. So it's not just a one-off. They could keep that going heading into Backlash. Now, I've also seen a lot of people say Aleister Black or Rusev. We both know that both of them are coming back to the WWE from AEW. And again, both of them coming back in probably should not be losing their first match. And again, Randy Orton needs to win a WrestleMania. I think he needs to win no matter who his opponent is. He needs to win so he's set up for his championship match at Backlash. So it would not be a good idea to have Aleister or Rusev in this scenario because you don't want them to lose their first match back. And last but not least, Carmelo Hayes. To me, there's history already there. We know Carmelo and Randy had a great match on SmackDown in the past. So you could revisit that with like the Miz kind of encouraging Carmelo to step up and answer the open challenge to Randy Orton, make a name for himself. This gets the Miz on the Mania card. You know, the Miz can eat an RKO after the match. I mean, hell, even the Miz could even answer the open challenge himself, given the history between Randy Orton and the Miz. But yeah, I mean, I was looking up and down the TNA roster even. I was like, you know, is there someone from TNA that they could bring in as a one-off? And I'm like, maybe Jeff Hardy. We know the history between Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy. But I don't know if TNA would want one of their champions losing. And especially if you do bring in Jeff Hardy, who would be making his return to the WWE. And yes, he was on NXT. But this would be his first WrestleMania in several years. So you don't want Jeff Hardy losing, even though it would be a cool nostalgia pop if it was Jeff Hardy who answered Randy Orton's open challenge, if they wanted to go that route of an open challenge. I'm not saying they will, but I'm just giving options here. And obviously, you could have even put Joe Hendry in this scenario, but Joe Hendry is injured. He's probably going to be dropping that TNA World title. So, yeah, that's probably the best I can come up with is like if you're going to go outside of WWE, that maybe Jeff Hardy would be the best for that scenario if you do want a big pop. But yeah, comment below, what do you guys think of what happened with Kevin Owens on SmackDown? Do you think Nick Aldis should be the one to face Randy Orton? Who do you want to see face Randy? And to close out this video, I've been your host, Money Mike. You've been watching Ringside Cinema, and thank you, Kevin Owens.